The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
Football League World are running a negative about John Mousinho.
Portsmouth fan pundit Miltos Ioannidis has admitted that, while he still has a lot of respect for the Pompey manager given the job he has done at Fratton Park, he should be questioned for some of his recent tactical decisions, including not making a triple change until after the 80th minute against Bristol City on Saturday. "It's a tough time to be a Pompey fan," Miltos says. "Fingers can point towards different directions, and rightfully so, whether that is the ownership, John Mousinho or Richard Hughes. I just think everyone has to take part of the blame for why we've started this season so atrociously bad. From the manager's point of view, 1 win in 9 and 2 wins in 14 is an awful return. It's definitely relegation form, and it's simply unacceptable. I love John Mousinho, he's a legend for everything he's done here, but I don't think he's immune to criticism or people questioning his decisions, especially as of late. Whether we're talking about in-game decisions, substitutions or tactical decisions, it almost feels as if we don't give ourselves the best possible opportunity to win a football game at all times, which is incredibly frustrating. Take yesterday's game for example. Why take so long to make substitutions yet again? We started the game badly in the first 20 to 25 minutes, then we managed to balance the game out a little bit, but in the second half, why take 80 minutes to bring on Yang Min-hyuk, for example? Why keep Colby Bishop on for 90 minutes for yet another game, even if he offers us nothing? I don't understand. These are decisions that people have more than enough right to question.
Let's turn this conversation on its head slightly, shall we? Because it's a conversation you could have had anywhere in our region with any football fan over the last 48, 72 hours, something like that, which is that has the time come to think about another manager? Which is absolutely ludicrous, of course, and we know it ain't going to happen, but people are starting to think along those lines. I think it's disappointing when journalists state the obvious. The job is to report it as it is and also to be honest, but sometimes you just need to think a little bit outside the envelope. For example, when asked what he looked for in a young officer who he was thinking of turning into a general, Napoleon used to say, luck. I want him to be a lucky man. And John Mousinho might just be about to get lucky. Because if we had to slip into the relegation zone, what better time to do it than just before the club is going to go and ask Michael Eisner for a few million of his pounds to spend on a player or two to guarantee that he is right when he says that we will not be relegated. Perfect scenario. If you were Machiavelli, that great schemer and wheeler and dealer of Italian politics, long before the Godfather and the Mafia came along, Machiavelli was at it, scheming and wheeling and dealing behind the scenes. Of course, John Mousinho, Rich Hughes and Andy Cullen haven't got together in a dark corner of a bar and come up with this plan to persuade Michael Eisner to splash out. They'd be risking far more than is worth risking. John Mousinho has got a lot to risk because he has made such an impact during his nearly 3 years now at Pompey. And if he were to leave the club under a cloud, it would be a small cloud compared to the huge amount of sunshine that emanates from him because of his achievements, because of the way in which he's done it without actually really having recourse to spending large amounts of money. He's assembled a very basic squad, and he's getting, or was getting at the end of last season, more than basic results out of them and more than basic performances. And we did actually start the season very well, if people need to be reminded that this is a blip, this is a glitch, but it couldn't have come at a better time. So we'll just have to wait and see. We won't know until the end of January just who is joining the club, but players will be joining the club. And some players may be leaving the club because they haven't actually produced the goods despite all the fanfares that attended their arrival. So I think we can expect to see some changes. And then the new squad, the new look team will need to bed in. But as long as they can come with a wet sail, as they say, at the right time in the season, which is the last quarter, then we'll all go on holiday happy bunnies, won't we? happy that we've got an excellent manager who's also very lucky.
Sporting director Rich Hughes is bullish about the coming transfer window.
The January window is always busy. There may be something we don't anticipate. There will be different scenarios of what may become available. Going into January last year, we were tracking 3 centre-backs. One got into his team, one didn't move in the end, and we were able to get Rob Atkinson, who was at the top of the list. So you have to follow as many different leads as possible. We will be as busy as we can be if we can make ourselves better. That sounds cliched and an overused phrase, but if opportunities allow us to bolster the group and improve the depth of it, we will always try to make those decisions and make that case to do so. We have 7 games before the window opens and is active, and that could be a big part of the season. A lot can change. I remember just before Conor Ogilvie got injured, one of the conversations we had with John was that left back wasn't a position we were looking at. You get an injury all of a sudden and you have to pivot with that. That is part of the thinking. We will plan for some of the more obvious eventualities. We'll always want to try to affect the top end of the pitch. You look at goals scored this season, we'll try to find someone to change that. That will always be a priority. We're always looking at strengthening every position. That's the honest truth. We have some targets. A lot of work has involved going to a lot of games, so it's staying proactive for what we need to do, then reactive if anything pops up between now and then.
When this transfer window ends, and we mustn't expect it to be our salvation, nor our doomsday machine. It'll probably be just a little bit better than okay, and then the coaching staff will have to make the best of a slightly revamped squad. We've got, I think it's 13 games after the transfer window ends, until the end of the season. Is it 13 or 16? I should know. I counted them not long ago. But what caught my eye and actually distracted me enormously is that we are in for a weekend of do or die. Do or die. It will begin on Friday, the 3rd of April at 3 p.m. and it will end on Monday, the 6th of April at 5 p.m. And it is because over the course of 3 days, we've got Norwich away and Oxford at home. Now, that's a 12-pointer, isn't it? Of a 3 days. And it will be delightful, invigorating, cause for celebration if at 5 o'clock on the afternoon of the 6th of April next year, we've trousered 6 points at the expense of 2 teams that cannot afford to lose points to us, but equally it will be a disaster of almost titanic proportions if we emerge from those 2 games, those do-or-die weekend games, 3rd of April to the 6th of April, with nada, with zilch. It will be a season-defining weekend. Lay in some beers and some paracetamol. One way or the other. We're going to need both. Saturday's referee was Sam Allison, who some fans believe has got a bit of a thing about Pompey. Here's what one fan said on social media after the game.
Why does Sam Allison hate Pompey?
And here's a bunch of more stuff on social media about Allison.
At El Chinery 7. My favourite pastime on a Saturday afternoon has now become watching Sam Allison attempt to referee. It's a roller coaster every week, and 9 times out of 10, it's diabolical. At Joe Pace 92. Sam Allison, the worst EFL ref ever. How is he qualified? At Beric Season. Of course, when we need a win, we get stuck being refed by Sam Allison. At Sam Jeffers Macy. Sam Allison is the worst ref in the EFL. At Bogstatron. Sam Allison gone full Sam Allison. #Pompey. At PompeyNut1898. Fed up of seeing away fans celebrating at full time. Fed up of seeing us make poor decisions. Fed up of seeing hardly any shots. Fed up of inconsistent referees. Fed up of Sam Allison. Fed up of leaving FP feeling fed up. No midweek game should be a blessing, tactically terrible. At Thavuta Lang, ask if he is making a complaint against Sam Allison, awful referee. At Newman Hay, The lack of consistency from Sam Allison is outrageous. I will accept the bookings for Pompey, but Ross McCrory should be on one as well.
Every single comment on that subject was exactly like that. And let's go back to the very first question that we filched from off of social media, where we had Every Steele bewildered by this.
At EV3 Warsteel, why does Sam Allison hate Pompey?
He doesn't, of course. But he will remember the derogatory stuff that was posted about him after the Crawley game when we were managed by Cowley, which was just as bad as the stuff that was posted after the Bristol game. Do referees read such things? Of course they do. We're only human, all of us. Referees are only human. Did that derogatory, negative stuff, did that make him a better referee? Clearly, in the eyes of a great many people, not. Did it become apparent to them that perhaps he would sometimes, if it was a 50-50 decision, give it against Pompey rather than the other team because he got a thing about Pompey? There are one or two people who no doubt are thinking along those lines. Refs don't do that. They are too carefully adjudicated by their peers during the course of a game and kept in touch with the latest tweaks and changes of the rules and regs. They're not doing it in isolation. They don't turn up from nowhere at 2:15 on a Saturday afternoon. They're working together, side by side, agreeing on things, disagreeing on things, and making decisions that hopefully have some sort of collectivity about them. That's him. But, is there a possibility that a referee doesn't like a certain club because of the way in which some of the fans treated him? As a student of human nature, I would say almost certainly it can be in there. So let's not give the referee a foul-mouthed hard time after the game. Let's just raise ourselves to our full height and look forward to the next game with a different referee. Because slagging the referee off is a part and parcel of football, and we all do it from time to time. But we don't go so far as to make it a campaign, to wage war on one individual, because it could backfire. And when your chickens come home to roost, just let some of us remember who laid the eggs.